Okay, what we have is the arrow that I made the spoon point for. The point's sharpened up, tied in. It's glued and tied in. It's pretty solid. This is just a 3/8 inch shaft that most people will have around. What we're going to do is cut the nock, and what I'm using is the saw on a Swiss Army knife. You can use a tracker, you can use the saws on any of the tools or anything along that line. The only thing, I like these Swiss Army knives and the tracker, but I wish they would put a file in them. It just makes life a whole lot handier in a lot of cases for doing stuff. But for the nock for the arrow, you just go in and start cutting. You want to watch your hands because these saws are unforgiving and they will butcher you. They'll leave a cut that you won't soon forget. They're very effective as a saw for no more than what they are. You want your nock in there just deep enough to where you can actually get the string in it and hold it on the string. You don't have to even be shaped like a plastic nock, you just want the string to be able to go in it. Now you can go through, if you're afraid of splitting a wood shaft, you can go through and wrap it in cord, put a bulbous end on it of sorts. Anything you need to do to make the nock a little bit tougher to what you're wanting to shoot. Although most of the time, these aren't meant to be shot out of stupid strong bows. These are self bows. Things along that line, something you'd make out in the woods. So you want to open it up just enough to get your string in it. Clean up the bottom of the nock. That'll save wear on your string, things along that line. If you have a little file with you, that would be a plus. That's why I said I wish I had a file, or in this size of knife, I wish they'd put a file in it. But who am I? These are a nice little tool, and the woodsman's usually out doing all kinds of stuff, and a little metal file would help sharpen to keep the self end made and help with this end quite drastically. There's your nock for the most part. You might have to widen it out a little bit more to fit what string you have, depending on how big the string is. But that should work for what most is going on. The other thing, there's all kinds of ways you can put flights on these. We're just gonna go quick and dirty with tape because most people in their kit carry duct tape. So this is what we'll use. That's usually pretty easy to set up. Like I said, if you're worried about the nock, we can reinforce that with a little bit of tape also. We'll do that here in a second. Now with flights, with hunting arrows, you're not flight shooting, so your flights can be bigger. It'll tend to slow it down faster, but that also aids in recovery of your arrow in case you miss, or if you're hunting bird or whatnot, they won't fly hundreds of yards. Instead of, they may fly 50, 60 or so. I've got one that I made that 25 yards is about its best, but I was using it taking out carpenter bees, and it worked quite well. Cut 3 lengths of your tape. go in. You want one set up with a, I set it up to where I can get hold of it, the arrow behind it. Now I didn't make sure that these were all perfectly straight, and they don't even, it helps if they're around evenly, so you can mark it with a pencil or something along that line. You don't necessarily have to. Yeah. Makes things easier. I didn't, so this may not be exactly even, but it will tend to shoot pretty good anyway. Especially at the distances you'll probably be shooting it at. It won't be a target arrow by any way, shape, or form. But if you're actually hunting with it, and you're hunting, you should be hunting close anyhow, so with things like this. There we go, that's actually pretty close. Then you can take your knife, whatever, that's the other thing that's in here that I do like, scissors. So you can trim it down. Like I said, this thing isn't going to win any beauty contests, but it will do what you need it to do. Spin it over. Trim it to the feather height you want. Then that extra bit of tape that you had, what I'll do is I'll come in if you spend more time, you can get these really rather even. I'm not going for beauty or anything like that. I'm trying to keep the video somewhat short. And also to show that it doesn't take 3 weeks to make these. Okay, take a little bit. If you wrap this up here, it will help secure the front. Take this bit. You can wrap this in thread, but since you already have this handy, why bother? And then if you're punchy about the nock, you can just wrap the whole thing, and that'll secure it. And there's your arrow. Okay, this is the self arrow I just made. One of my bows. I like these short bows just because they're handy, moving in and out. This thing's probably running, oh, what do they say that's running? 55 or 60 pounds, I think. Now, that's just a pile of grass with some tires behind it that I'm using for a target. So we're going to see how this does. Actually, this shot's been quite good. Now granted, I'm not slamming it into anything hard. Don't really want to. This type of bow you can shoot off either side, shoot with a thumb ring which I do have, and I know how to shoot. Not real good, but I can. We'll demonstrate that later, I think. Little different technique to do this. This is Mediterranean off of one of these. That was a hard hit. Didn't split it, didn't break the end, didn't break the head, which is kind of handy. I'm not too used to shooting that way. We'll go another one. That sounded like it hit the tire too. That grass has been piled up and rained on, so it's good and dense. You can tell it didn't hurt the head. These are tougher than what you'd think. That's tied with artificial sinew. Duct tape flights. You can shoot these quite a little bit. When the flights start getting worn, just peel them off, put new ones on. Most people carry duct tape in their oh shit bag, so it'd be all good. There's a close-up of the nock.